Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I've always loved Valentine's Day, and I thought it would be fitting for me to come on here to my live to talk about Venus and Neptune as an archetypal combination in astrology. Currently, Venus and Neptune are tightly conjunct in the sign of Pisces, and what I'm about to say applies to Venus Neptune in any major aspect in your natal chart, whether that's the conjunction, opposition, square, sextile, or trine, or if you have Venus in the sign of Pisces. I think a lot of what I'm going to say will hopefully resonate for you as well. So, when we're entering into an archetypal combination, it's important to remember that we are entering into a realm of these two planetary bodies. By realm, I mean that they are in a relationship that has been going on for eons, and that all energies are frequencies that we are able to tune into when we focus our awareness into those two specific energies as really living in their own universe, right? Their own world. And Venus and Neptune have their own world. And I would like us to explore and tune into what that world is. Venus is traditionally related with the heart chakra, so the fourth, and Neptune is traditionally related with the sixth of the third eye. So Venus and Neptune in archetypal combination is the unity of the heart and the third eye. So these are qualities or states of consciousness. Venus and Neptune is the most heart chakra energy that we can have. Venus-Neptune people tend to have very open hearts and typically are also highly sensitive people because of the heart as a channel being so wide open. Neptune dissolves the boundaries of everything it touches and makes it open and porous and permeable. So Venus-Neptune is a very open and porous and permeable heart. When you're bringing the heart of Venus in with the third eye of Neptune, you're bringing in the combination of heart with compassion, intuition, and vision, right? The ability to see through. And this is going to be really important as we go into the love story and the love journey that Venus and Neptune often make with one another. So, Venus Neptune is compassionate love and relationships. It's a deeply empathetic heart, a loving heart space, and the ability to actually have unconditional love, to give it and hopefully to also receive it. And I think this is a big part of the medicine for Venus Neptune people. Because Venus Neptune is the most heart chakra energy, it's the most open, it also deserves to be the most protected. So the more open and the more vulnerable we are in relationship, we need that much protection as well. And that comes from the discernment, and this is a lot of what the Venus Neptune person is learning, is the discernment of with whom and when to share that ability and that gift that you have to be so open-hearted and so deeply understanding of another's experience. I want you to really hear me when I say that this is your ability, it's your gift, and it deserves to be protected. This isn't just something that everyone in your life gets to have. This is something that deserves to be earned, and it really requires safety and trust to be able to open at that level. This isn't just like an open channel that gets to stay open anywhere, anytime. It really is something that we want to make sure we're choosing to open up and give, because it's an incredible energy, and it's something that is very profound that you offer your friends and your lovers or your partners in your life. Venus Neptune definitely has that ability and desire for soulful connection. It's um, typically the person is wanting soulmate partners where there's a deeply spiritual shared experience romantically and hopefully also in friendship, because Venus is both romance and friendship, and Neptune is our spirituality. It's how we make meaning. It also gives us that higher sense of purpose and being connected to the all. So Venus Neptune can be the experience of Atman Brahman, of total unity and communion through romance. And oftentimes, a Venus Neptune person has the experience that through the other of their beloved, they're able to access either mystical experiences, healing experiences, deeply spiritual or meaningful experiences. Venus Neptune is about healing through love, healing through relationship, healing the heart through love and relationship. It can be a very high vibration of love, again, therefore deserving protection and discernment. But it's also about this lifetime learning how to heal in relationship and get that deep, deep desire and need that I believe the Venus Neptune person has for merging with the other. It's the ability to really lose oneself and go into deep, deep merge states of consciousness and spaces with one's partner or one's friend. Again, though, that depth of kind of timeless love and pleasurable, ecstatic, and euphoric experiences that you are able of both having with your own self and then sharing with another really needs safety and trust to be able to go into that level of intimacy, which is what's happening when the Neptune dissolves the boundaries and the barriers of the ego, or of anything that would be defensive or coping mechanisms that you put down in order to be able to connect and commune so deeply with another. Um, it definitely is an open hearted affinity, Venus Neptune. It has this ability for fluid love, very, very fluid, able to move in and out of all different kinds of relationships. And that's often because the experience of love is very transpersonal. It's a transpersonal love, and being able to truly see the divine in the other. And that's where a lot of that unconditional love and open heartedness comes, is seeing the divinity in the other. And therefore, it can often feel like love and relationship is magical, and there's a deep desire for unity and wholeness in that communing with the other and that enchanted love. I want to talk, though, then about um, particularly when Venus and Neptune is in hard aspect of the conjunction, square, or opposition. Um, some of the challenges that I've seen there in both my friends and my clients. And so I'm hoping you Venus Neptune folks can hear yourself in this. Every archetypal combination is a journey. I've lately been saying each combination, right? There's 45 combinations in our solar system. If you take the sun and the moon with the other 8 planets, we get 45 astrological pairs or combinations, which I teach on in the meaning of the planets. I go in depth to each one. And with each pair, I believe there is a mythology. And by mythology, I mean an ancient sacred story that the human being can see our um, intrapsychic and interpersonal experiences within that story, within that mythos. And because it's a whole realm or universe in each combination, I believe that there is an inner coherency or an intelligence that that combination has. So, something I often see with Venus Neptune folks is there's this quality or tendency, especially in the first half of life, but I think throughout life, where one gets intoxicated by love, enchanted by love, and oftentimes put into a spell or is spellbound. There's a deep loss of self and merging with the other, with the partner or the beloved. And it oftentimes is both an extremely pleasurable experience, which is what Venus Neptune wants. It wants timeless, boundless pleasure, um, sensually, sexually, romantically, emotionally. But oftentimes, in that, there can be a feeling at some point, and this is where the third eye piece comes in of Neptune with the sixth chakra, is there's a seeing beyond illusion or delusion. And Venus Neptune, especially in hard aspect, has the experience of having to go through delusional love. And by that, I mean where there is typically a profound amount of projection going on from both individuals in the relationship onto the other. And they're co creating, living in a fantasy or a dream that is either not grounded in consensus reality or grounded in seeing the whole person and the whole context of the situation in which the romance is taking place. And that is part of the intoxication and the part of Neptune in its shadow form, where that delusion or seeing through rose colored glasses, one becomes very lost or confused or had this experience of swirling within the relational dynamic, and often can have this experience of feeling either lost at sea or drowning in the ocean and feeling untethered by what's happening within the romance. At some point, there's a seeing through that takes place where either more of the whole person or their story or the context of the love comes into the foreground. And if that is something that ends up feeling not good or not safe or not right relation, then there ends up being this dissolving, the Neptunian dissolving of the relationship. And there is that profound well of grief of the waters of Neptune that come in, the grieving of the loss of the dream or the fantasy or the hope of the relationship and its potentiality of what was going to be created together. And then the waters of Neptune, through the grieving process of the loss of the dream, ends up cleansing and therefore healing or purifying and restoring the Venus Neptune person into a state of wholeness, which I do believe, when psychologically followed through, the Venus Neptune person's journey as they wake up from the spell or the illusion, and they've gone through the grieving process, they come into a state of restored wholeness within their own heart, which then somehow makes them vibrationally able and present to then receive. And this is a very important part with Venus Neptune, with Venus's connection with reception and mutuality, to receive that same level of exquisite sensitivity and unconditional love from the other that the Venus Neptune native is so able to give out, must learn then to also receive at that same quality of sensitivity and awareness that you are able to give. And within that, it becomes possible to have an ensouled love with the exquisite sensitivity that is real, that is grounded in reality and the whole person of both people there feeling safe and seen and trusted to go into those Neptunian watery depths of merging and communion that is so profound sensually, physically, and sexually in the Venus Neptune relationship. So it definitely can be this quality of swimming in an ocean of love, lost at sea in romance, drowning in love, but then also swimming in pleasure. And it's often a dance or a fluid movement through all those different variations of the Venus Neptune journey. And I do believe that, particularly in heart aspect, um, all of the challenges and struggles and suffering of Venus Neptune is necessary in order to process and develop into understanding what it is that you actually need to feel safe, um, in order to open up at that level of an open heart and unconditional love, and giving that, once again, gift and capacity you have as a choice to another who's safe enough to do that with, that can also give that back to you and you receive from them. So I'm talking about a quality of holding that the Venus Neptune person needs from the other in order for them to choose to give that um, exquisite capacity to love and understand the other. Um, I'll just mention a couple other things. Um, I often see there being a disappointment in love, or that quality of Neptune, which is how we long and yearn for an ideal. Um, Venus Neptune people need to worship in love. And also, um, they do need to be able to merge. It's inevitable. So again, it comes back to safety. Challenges, projective identification and love. So the Venus Neptune person has the ability to shapeshift, um, like a like a chameleon or a shapeshifter, and become the vision of love by the other. So whatever the person is that you're in a relationship, whatever their ideal or fantasy of love is, you have the ability to become that and enact that. So that's what I mean by projective identification and love. It's a psychological term where the other person is projecting their image of their anima or animus onto you in a Jungian term, or their hopes and their wishes and their dreams. And you just have this, through your exquisite sensitivity and empathy, to be able to become that for them. And sometimes that is at the expense or sacrifice of your own self. Romantic projection, feeding off of the energy of other people's fantasies of you. I think often it feels very good to be loved, or for someone to have a crush on you, or for you to be someone's ideal sense of beauty. And sometimes Venus Neptune people can get caught in kind of like feeding off of or living off of that energy, versus I would offer to you this question. Do am I attracted to this person? Do I like this person? Do I want to be here? Does this feel good? Versus the other person saying to you, I like you, I love you, or potentially even love bombing. And that's that connection with the Venus Neptune person, potentially as an empath or a highly sensitive person, perhaps had some kind of narcissistic abuse early on in their life with either a primary caretaker or someone within the family system. And one way that that can come through is that quality, of a narcissist to love bomb, right? So that can sometimes happen with the Venus Neptune person. Um, I think that Sometimes the Venus-Neptune person, Stelzy Bear is here. Oh my God, I love you, Stelzy. I'm catching the Venus-Neptune wave. Yay. Um, I think things that are really helpful and important for Venus-Neptune people to ask themselves, just so that you can get to have that profound mutual reception and love, that ensouled spiritual connection in relationship that's deeply healing and so beautiful, is um, do sometimes relationships not work because of either unrealistic expectations on either person's side, either yours or the others onto you, or is there no room for your humanity, right? It's so important when we're talking about love and relationship, especially with Venus Neptune, that there is our humanity involved here. And our humanity includes our messiness, our feelings, our wounds. We each bring in wounds and trauma into relationship. That's just the human experience. And when we fall in love, part of falling in love is learning how to deeply caretake our partners, or at least have profound sensitivity and awareness of being able to hold our partner's wounds and our partner's traumas that are coming in, and hold space for the healing that naturally wants to take place there, especially when the relationship is safe and there's a lot of trust. It's exquisite what can happen in the healing of that container of love. And so, just with the Venus Neptune person, is there room here for your humanity and for you to make mistakes and have limitations, right? It's so important for the Venus Neptune person to know what their boundaries are, because it's such a boundless love and such an ability to merge so deeply in relationship. Do you have a sense of what your boundaries and limitations are romantically, and how you have your self care in place to make sure you're staying connected to yourself as you naturally want to merge and surrender into that space of unconditional love? Um, we also want to make sure with Venus Neptune people, it's like that awareness of not splitting off our darker sides, either not looking at them and moving into deceptive space. So, that quality of Neptune, that's deception. It's like, are we deceiving ourselves or the other person? Are we not bringing our full truth into the relationship? Are they not bringing their full truth in? Is there space for full truth? Or is there only space for the things that feel good or pleasurable or pretty or beautiful, whatever that is to you? It's like, yeah, a healthy relationship makes room for the whole person and the whole experience that's happening, including things that often don't feel as good or are as maybe more difficult to deal with. And lastly, what I want to offer to the Venus Neptune person is just really making sure that there's consent there on your part and the other person's part. Like, do you really want to be here? Do they really want to be here? And something that I have found really helpful in working with my couples in my therapy practice is looking at every relationship, especially romantic relationship, as a business contract. And I think this relates to the seventh house in astrology. There's a reason why marriage, relationship, and business relationships all fall within the seventh house. And I think that is that really healthy romantic relationships have clear contracts in place around each person being very clear and specific around what they need in the relationship from the other person. And that requires first each individual to know what it is they need, and then to be able to clearly communicate that to the other. And then for both parties, or if there's multiple parties, to agree and say, yes, I am able to give you what you need, and I want to do that. And this is really important when it comes to the topic of infidelity. Um, Infidelity is defined as one or both people in the relationship being unfaithful. And by unfaithful, it means breaking the contract that the two of you have with one another around the needs that need to get met and the boundaries of the relationship. And so oftentimes what I see is couples don't take the time in the beginning of the relationship to define what infidelity is for them and how breaking the bounds of faithfulness, what that actually looks like. So for some people, it's okay to flirt, and that's not considered being unfaithful. For other couples or partners, that is considered being having infidelity. Sorry, I almost said cheating. I don't like to say that. Being having infidelity, being unfaithful. And so We can even look at themes around masturbation. Is it okay to masturbate? Or pornography? Is it okay to watch porn, either together or apart? These are things that often are uncomfortable or awkward to talk about, but it's so important when we're talking about consent and we're talking about defining the relationship and what the contract is. Because what I see often with Venus Neptune is if that clarity around what the boundaries are and the relationship aren't there, there's this tendency to get swept up or lost or dissolved into the relationship so deep that by the time potentially the conflicts or the problems start to arise, there isn't that clear ground and contract or container in place to help the couple or partners come back into the agreed upon contract. So I just want to offer that from like a therapeutic couples counseling context. So, as I close up here on our Venus Neptune exploration, I just want to again deeply affirm that if you're born with Venus and Neptune in major aspect, or you have Venus in Pisces, that is, it is an exquisite gift and capacity for unconditional love and an open heart that you have, and that is a channel that you get to choose through consent to give to whom, when, and where. And that is not something just because you have the ability to do it that any or every person in your life gets to have. Like all gifts, they are sacred. They come from a deeply vulnerable place in us. And oftentimes, because our gifts are so profound, typically as humans, we have some kind of history or story around wounding there, where maybe they've been abused or taken advantage of by other people in our life. And so, the Venus Neptune person, if you can just remember that it is a gift, and if you choose to give it to people that feel safe and trustworthy to do, then you also get to have the really beautiful and ecstatic parts of this aspect, which is open-hearted, unconditional, ensouled, enchanted, magical love with your friends, with your family, with your beloveds, and that you get to receive that profound sensitivity and love back to your own self. All right, everyone, thank you so much for being here with me today on my live. This is the Trust Psyche YouTube channel. I would love for you to subscribe, share with your community, leave a comment below. I always love to hear from you. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm sending all my love to you, and I hope that you get to have a moment of just timeless love in the coming days. Okay, everyone, I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much. Bye.